Alright guys, and welcome to another episode of Tools on Tools. My name is Chris, I'm a baby electrician.
And I'm Joel, and I am a journeyman electrician here at Power-Tek.
These are the tools we're going to be going over today. It's all about our MX Fuel core drill.
Look at this unit, it's big, and we have not only this big drill that runs on a higher capacity red lithium MX Fuel battery, but we have also a number of associated pieces to go with it. And we're going to walk through all those. Chris is a bit of an expert on this, having read all the materials. Before Chris gets into a lot of the details of the drill, I'm going to give you a walkthrough on the safety that you need to observe and the PPE that you need to wear whenever you're using this majestic tool here. First off, you need to think of the hazards that you're going to be encountering. A lot of those hazards are location specific, so you got to think, are you coring through a new slab, or are you coring through something you don't know what's going to be in there? You might have to do some scanning, some ferrous scanning, and make sure that you know where all your conduits are run, so that you don't run into something and cause another hazard, or put out the power somewhere, or shock yourself. So you're also going to be needing to think of where you're working. Have you used your proper barricades and guardrails? Do you have a perimeter set up so that nobody who's not supposed to be there will walk into your site? Do you have some ventilation or a hookup that you can use to vacuum up the dust? If you have no way to deal with your dust, you will need to wear a respirator of some kind to keep yourself from inhaling this dust. As always, when you create dust and debris and fine particles, you're going to want to wear eye protection. This machine makes a lot of noise. You're going to want to wear hearing protection of some kind, either plugs or muffs. This is a heavy machine with heavy components. You're going to need to wear steel toe shoes or boots. You're going to need to have steel toe footwear on at all times on our job sites, and specifically when you're using this tool, as it's quite heavy. Another thing you want to think about is where you're holding this tool. There are certain parts of the drill that are actually insulated electrically. So in the case that we accidentally hit something after we've scanned, maybe it doesn't get picked up, or whatever accidents happen, this handle here at the back, this handle here on the side, and the rubberized part of this battery are the safe places to hold it while you're drilling. We don't want to take any chances. We want to make sure that we are holding the drill on the insulated part in case something goes terribly wrong. Additionally, you're going to also want to consider what's happening on the other side of the wall or the floor that you're going to be drilling through. Have you located exactly where it's going to be coming through on the floor below? You can't have a big piece of concrete or even small pieces raining down, in something below where there might be somebody. You need to make sure that you've identified exactly where you're going to come through, that there's nothing in the way that's going to be hit or damaged, and that you put up your protective barriers or other warning signs to let people know that it's not safe to be in that area. If you're drilling through a wall, you also need to identify the other side. You need to put up proper guardrails and barricades to make sure that nobody is accessing that area and is going to get hit by potential blowout when your drill comes through. So be careful, think ahead, plan ahead, and be safe.
Alright guys, so first things first, we're going to go over our base for the core drill. A few things to consider with this guy. First and foremost is that every single time you use this base, you're going to want to secure it. If you're on a floor, it does have a vacuum setup. I don't know if I tip this back. You can see the suction wall across through the center here as well. That with a vacuum port on the front here, you can hook up a vacuum pump and this will seal itself directly to the ground. That is only to be used when you're drilling down through the floor. It does not work when you're drilling into a wall. In that case, you are definitely going to want to use an anchor. Mandatory that you have to use at least a 5/8 to 3/4 anchor and bolt, and that slides right through the center here, like so. You can do that directly onto a wall. You can do that on the floor, and you want to be approximately 10 to 14 inches away from the center of the hole that you're drilling for that anchor. So once, let's say for example that we have secured to the floor, we want to go ahead and drill. We want to drill, right now I've got this at about 45 degrees, but let's say I wanted to drill directly down. So what I'm going to do is I've got a handle on the back side here. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this guy up, and I can push this whole piece directly 90 degrees. And the way that you tell what angle you're at is that on the back side of the mast here, we've got our degree readings. And our metal carrier, our aluminum carrier here, when it is level with each individual line, as you go up, that's how you know what angle you're at. Along the side of the mast as well, we also have a depth gauge that lets you measure as you go down how deep your core is going, because there's a few things to mention about the carrier. One of the neat things about this is actually that this handle simply pulls off. It is a 1/2-inch drive socket bit, so you can put it on this side, or let's say you wanted to have the drill on that side and this is going to get in the way, the drill's going to be in the way and hit that. You can take this and flip it to the other side as needed and continue moving your carrier up and down. One of the things as well to mention about this is that as you go to use the drill, you should take your carrier and just try to wiggle it on the mast. And if it is wiggling, one of the things you're going to want to do is that these two nuts at the back, these are eccentric nuts. So the bolt inside is not round, it's actually oval. So if you have any sort of wiggle or wobble in this carrier, you can tighten these up only a very little bit, and it will suck them in tighter to the mast and prevent this from wiggling at all. Across the bottom here, and I'll just offer this up as an example, we've got an extra battery holder. So if I take this battery off, I can put an extra battery right there and wheel it around site. Make sure that I've always got an extra one on the go. Another thing to consider as you go to put yourself on the floor, we've got a leveling bubble here. So let's say you've secured yourself to the floor. Your bolt is in and you want to make sure that you are going to drill directly straight down. You can use these eye bolts and raise this up to various amounts. If you're using the vacuum setting, one of the things to keep in mind with this is that it's actually always better to keep your level lower, because as you raise these bolts up and the whole base raises up, you may actually lose suction across the bottom, which is again one of the reasons why we always suggest that you use your anchor to secure that. For the vacuum setup, you can see our gauge right here on the base. If you go ahead and zoom in on this guy right here, you'll notice that we are red and then green as opposed to green and not red. If you're using the vacuum setup, you should only be drilling when your pressure gauge is all the way in the green. What this is that when you're at low pressure, this is not secure enough to be able to drill with, but when you're in the green, high pressure level, you can go ahead and drill with it and know that you're going to be safe. If you're using the vacuum system as well, just down here on the handle, the way to release your vacuum system is this little pulley right here, and this guy will release the suction from the vacuum system once you finish your hole and you want to go ahead and move it. There's also just a couple of small other things as well. On this guy, let's say you're mounting directly onto a wall, you've got a level here to make sure that you're perfectly plumb, although you can go ahead and take just a normal level and check. Once this is mounted, you can use that to check any of these things. We've also got the wheels on the back here. These are removable. All it is a cotter pin and a bolt through the base here. They can be removed, but they don't really impinge on the use of the tool, whether you're on the wall or on the floor. So it's really recommended to just kind of leave those on and be able to wheel them around site as needed. So there's also the shoring pin across the top here. So this guy right here is another method for securing it, although should never be used as the only method to secure it. So what you can do is you can build an entire structure around this. Let's say you're drilling in a small room or a hallway, and you can get a piece of strut or a 2x4 laterally across the room. What you can do is then use this and rotate that up so that it braces against a piece of strut right here and brings the whole thing solidly into the floor. Although it should be stressed that, according to the manufacturer's instructions, that there is under absolutely no circumstances where that is allowed to be the only method of securing this. And then I guess lastly as well, we have a center point marker for our hole, so that when we go to drill our hole, let's say we've made our mark right here, we can push this out the whole way. And once it's out the whole way, we know that this point that it points to is going to be the center mark on our hole. So when we go to mount this directly to the floor or to the wall, we know that we're in the right spot. All right, and we're now on to the core drill itself. So this is a very feature-heavy drill. There is a lot to this. So to start, if you were going to go ahead and use the drill, you're going to notice that we've got a hole. This is actually called the control center. And despite having the battery in and charged, this drill still has to be turned on. In the instructions, it actually refers to it as being armed and disarmed. So to turn this on, battery is in and charged, and this power button on the back, and you'll see we start up here, and we've got this lighting up. This here, the one on the bottom, is our battery indicator. One key is actually a GPS tracking function for the company in case the tool ever gets stolen. This here is a digital level. So if I adjust this, you'll notice that if I tip one way or the other, that's telling me that I'm not perfectly level and square. So if you're going to use this freehand, that right there with the white light in the middle tells you that you are going perfectly square through your wall. This right here is our pressure gauge. And what you want to do is you want to try to keep it as close to that dotted line as possible, ideally just above there. So we've got the 1, 2, 3 levels above and two levels below. The below ones are not enough pressure. These ones are too much pressure. But ideally, you're going to be alternating roughly between the ones just on either side of the line if you're going to be applying correct pressure. This is very important because too much pressure will wear the bits out very, very quickly. I'm going to use a term for that actually, it's called glazing, where all the diamonds essentially on the tip of the bit will melt and form a nice smooth surface as opposed to a very abrasive surface, which is what we want it to do. Across the top here as well, I'll just point this out as well, this is our speed selector. The smaller size bits will go faster than the larger size bits, but no matter what bit you're using, and I'll talk about the bits themselves and the different ratings later on, but no matter what bit you're using, as you go to start a hole, you should always have it on the low speed function. Just so that there are no pilot bits for these guys, so keeping it on low speed function will prevent it from walking on you if you're using it freehand. So walking our way through the rest of this tool here, if I point us to the bottom, you can see right here, this is our water inlet core. So this is a wet core drill. It requires a water source to be pumped in at no more than 90 psi. And so we actually have in the case here, this is a quick adapter. The water pump kit that we actually have, that is an M18 powered water pump, has one of these on it, but this guy comes with it in the case as well, just in case. And you apply this, it's just a quick connect that will seal onto that water spout down there, and you can attach this one with a garden hose. So you can use any water source for that. And then when you're actually using the tool, if I turn this around, you can see right here, this nozzle right, or this little dial right here is your water valve. And so to turn it on, you would go ahead and open it up. And this will control how much, not only water on and off, but also how much water you have coming out of the nozzle on the other end. This is a very important feature for bit wear. These are not cheap bits. And too much water is also an issue. Too much water will also cause it to glaze. So what you're looking for when you're drilling and when you're getting water down the spout is you want to make sure that you've got water coming out, period, but that water is coming out very muddy, no clear streaks, and you don't want clear water coming out at all. You want it to be very muddy and very gritty. So just a couple more details about the case here. If I open it up, you can see that we've got a couple of different adapters and things in here. So to start, in this little baggie here, these are a couple of different adapters. So that adapter on the bottom of the core drill for the water spout, that actually threads out, and you can thread in any different kind of water attachment adapter. So we've got those there. This is a trigger lock to lock it on. So do not, under any circumstances, use this freehand. You can only use this with the stand because of the danger and risk associated with it. But if I bring us back over to the tool here, I'll just bring that right up. This goes ahead and slides in like so. So with my trigger on, let's say I'm in the stand and I want to go ahead and I'm paying attention to this. You never leave it unsupervised. But let's say I don't want to keep my hand on it 24/7 while I'm coring. I can start the drill, get it going, and then lock that in place. And that will keep my drill going without me having to have my hand on the drill itself. We also have our bit adapter. So any larger bits are going to fit on this drill with the setup that's already on there. So our 3-inch bit size, for example, nearly just threads on. But let's say you wanted to go down to a 1-inch bit size, like what I have here in my hand. I'm going to go ahead and open this guy up. And as you can see, our bit is actually significantly smaller than our threads on the tool. And so we need this adapter. And what this adapter is going to do for us is it threads on like a standard drill. And when you're mounting these bits, it's actually probably a good idea to keep in mind that you're going to want a big pair of channel locks or a pipe wrench, because as I spin this, it's going to keep rotating on me, or it will once you put real torque on it. And so to thread these on tightly, you're going to want to go opposite directions with adjustable wrench. And so this guy, once it's on there as well, same deal. You want to thread it on super tight, so now you can see it spinning with the torque. And you want to make sure that everything on here is very tight, but not so tight that you can't pull it back off. All right, so that's how you go ahead and attach the bits. Our handle here, it's not like a traditional handle that you would see on one of your regular Milwaukee drills where you can just kind of freely spin it. You can see actually right in here, it's got a little gear lock that matches with our collar here. So when I put this on, you can hear that ratcheting. And if I tighten it up, it ratchets right in place. So finally, I'm just going to go ahead and put this back in the case and show you what a full kit should look like. First of all, to go ahead, I didn't show this before, but we're going to go ahead and show it now. To remove the battery, this is a little bit of a more involved process. You've got this little paddle right here. You have to push down, push that down, and now you can pull it. They are actually, these are absolute units of batteries. And so they've got a double action for removing them. And if I put this guy away, you should always have 2 batteries in the kit. Your 2 batteries, all of your various adapters and things, a charger, your MX Fuel charger. Although we have some MX Fuel stand lights that also charge these batteries. There's a very good tool synergy there, where if you need a lot of battery life, you're drilling with this guy. Run an extension cord for your power light, which you can act as your light source, but it will also charge these batteries, so you can always have a charger on the go. Put that guy in there like so. Handle goes right here. And that is a complete unit. And it has wheels on the back so that we can wheel it around site. Alright guys, so the last tool in this package is our water backpack. This is an M18 water pump. So on this side here, I've got a door, and my M18 battery will go in there. And then if I close this back up, and on this side I've got my on-off, and then this is my PSI selector switch. So there are 5 settings, as you can see on this, and it ranges from 20 PSI at the lowest up to 60 PSI at the highest. The core drill is rated for up to 90 PSI, so don't worry too much about what PSI you're sending to the tool, because you're not going to damage anything within the tool. Milwaukee made sure that all of their tools play nicely together. So on top of that, to go ahead and pull the water tank off, you've got a clip at the front and a clip at the back. You can see it right there between your backpack straps, and the whole thing lifts out. And as you can see, your hose is attached to your tank. The pump is actually located within this tank. All this does, as you can see on the base, is that it spins based off of a motor right here in the base, but the pump itself is actually located within the tank. So if I go ahead and I reattach that now, on both sides, I'll pull open this water hose and show you. So right now this comes with just a standard garden sprayer. If I rotate that, you'll see that it will roll out and roll back and influence the kind of spray I can get. But for use with this tool, we'll just go ahead and remove that. And this is the same quick connect piece that we had with the core drill. So you don't actually need the one that comes in the core drill's case to use it with the water pack. The one in the case is only used for if you need to attach to a garden hose. All right, so one of the things to consider with this guy, because it is a 4-gallon jug, the weight class on this guy is heavyweight for sure. So sometimes you may, especially if you're lifting it all the way from the ground, you may need a buddy to come help you lift it. In this case, hey Caden, can you come give me a hand, please?
Sure, yeah, I can.
All right, can you just hold that for me? I'm going to go ahead and put it on. Yep, just like so. And now it's on, and I can close up strap number 1. And the beauty of this strap across the bottom, anybody who's been in the military will tell you this, is that this actually takes weight. So this isn't just a hold the weight close to your body. You can use this, tighten it up, lift, and tighten. And now the weight is more around my waist than it is my shoulders. As you can actually see, this is bulging out and bagging out a little bit as it sits more on my waist. But this is a very good way, especially if you've got a few floors to carry all of your water up on a big construction site where you don't have a water source nearby. This is exactly the way you're going to want to do it. All right, guys, so we're going to give you a quick demonstration of how to set up and use the tool here. We're not going to be doing any drilling today on the beautiful floor of the shop. But if we were going to be drilling on the floor, we would want to start first with a couple of core scans to make sure that we're not about to drill into anything. As well, as we go to set this up, this would be a little bit different if we were to be setting this up on a wall, but by and large, any differences I'll point out as we go through it. So the first thing to do is actually, we're going to want to measure from our center mark here. We want to measure 10 to 14 inches back and do a drop-in anchor. And we'll use that to go ahead and secure our entire base to the floor or our entire base to the wall. But let's go ahead. We're going to use the center marker here. We'll pull this in, and we want to have that center mark sit directly over our crosshair that we've made. And we'll bring that back in now that we know that we're in the right spot. We'll straighten this guy out, bring him up the whole way, back that up, and just tighten this guy on right here. Yep, so we're going to want to go ahead and level this. We've got our little bubble level right here, and we want to go ahead and pull all these bolts up as high as they go so that when we tighten them down and level it out, this is going to sit as low to the floor as possible. The reason we want to do this is it offers a little bit more stability, but especially if we're going to use the vacuum system, the tighter it is to the floor, the better the seal is going to be. So let's just go ahead and tighten this guy up. Right here, like so. Bringing our bubble right into the center of our circle. If we were to be using the vacuum system, this is where you want to go ahead and connect your port and turn it on. But in this case, we'd use a drop-in anchor. So you would drop your anchor in right there through the center with a nice big washer on it. This is the appropriately sized bolt, but this is just a stand-in for our demonstration here today. So at this point, we know we're all nice and level. We're going to go ahead and bring the carrier bolt all the way up. All the way up. We'll loosen this guy off a little bit. And we're ready to go ahead and install the drill. Caden, I'm ready for that drill now, if you could bring that over, please.
Coming.
All right, let's go ahead and put that down there. Open that guy up, and just like so, we can go ahead and take this, install it through the collar like that. I like to go ahead and rotate it a little bit off so that I can see all of my controls. And then this handle on the back here just tightens up like so. And so one of the features I mentioned before as well, you'll notice will now be in the way. So this handle, if I go to try to spin it, it's going to hit my drill. So in this case, that is what this particular feature is for, where I can swap it back over to the other side. So next, we're going to want to go ahead and attach our drill bit. Caden, can you bring me the drill bit, please? Best helper you can find. We're going to go ahead and open this drill bit up. This is a 3-inch drill bit, kind of middle of the road for what we have on hand for these guys. And you'll notice a couple of things about it. Namely, it has a rating label. We want to maintain these rating labels because they tell us exactly how fast we're able to spin them, what kind of pressure you can put on them, and various other information. If any of these labels are damaged, you can contact the office, and the office can actually source a replacement label directly from Milwaukee for free. So we want to make sure that we maintain these. So you go ahead and just attach that like so. Tighten that up. I would have an adjustable wrench and pull opposite directions to go ahead and keep this nice and tight. We'll go ahead and attach our battery next. We'll slide up and in. Okay, and we're almost ready. Now we're ready for our water. Caden, can you bring me the water, please?
Coming.
All right, can you go ahead and let's just drop that here.
All right.
Put that right there. We'll go ahead and we'll open this guy up. There's our hose wide open open. Take our attachment off. We'll attach this guy in on here. All right, and we're ready to start turning things on. So our battery is in. We can arm the system. Which takes a second. You have to hold the button down for a second to get it to start. Our drill is now started. This wouldn't be quite as much of an issue because we don't actually have it secured. So you can see the digital level is not quite perfect. But you'll use the digital level to make sure you're nice and perfectly straight. Your drill bit is on. We're attached here. Do a quick little test fire, make sure it spins properly. Spins properly. Now, before we start, this is the point where we would turn our water on. Make sure that we're getting water out. And slowly, with the rotation and with the slowly spinning, bring it down directly over our crosshair. Our drill is on. Our drill bit is on. We've assured that we're nice and level. We want to make sure that we're wearing all of our PPE, which includes our safety glasses, our hearing protection, and then depending on the scenario that you're in, you may need respiratory protection. In a lot of cases, the water will keep the dust down, but especially if we're dealing with old concrete or any concrete where we know there's a potential asbestos hazard or silicosis hazard in an enclosed space where there's not a lot of air movement, you may also need a respirator. Or there's also vacuum attachments that we can put, which would directly mount to our hole. And at that point, we are ready to start drilling. So the first things first, once we're powered on, we know we're level, our water is attached. We're going to make sure that we turn our water on. This is going to help keep the dust down, and it's going to make sure that it extends the life of our bit. The only bits we have for these are wet coring bits, so they all require water. One of the main things to consider while you're doing that is that there is such a thing as having too much water and not enough water. So as you're drilling, you want to make sure that you've got muddy water coming back up out of the hole. No water coming back up out of the hole obviously means that you don't have enough water. But if you have water coming up out of the hole that's clear, or you have nothing but clear water, you get clear streaks or clear water, you're going to end up glazing the bit as well. So you want to make sure that you're getting water back up, but that it is solid and muddy. So we go ahead and put our PPE on now, have our safety glasses and our hearing protection. And we can start the rotation of our drill at a low speed, keeping in mind that we have our speed selector here, but we also have the variable speed trigger, so I'm not even pulling it down the whole way. We're just going to bring it down and start approaching the floor. And just going to stop spinning there for argument's sake. But as I go in, I'm going to let this work in slowly with very little pressure at a slow speed until I have crowned my hole where I've got a nice groove around the entire outside, about the depth of the cutting edge. So you want to be almost half an inch down before you start running it up at full speed and applying full pressure. But that just about concludes our demonstration, because we're not going to be making a hole in our floor here in the shop or Grandma's going to kill me. All right, guys, so that brings us to a close on this absolute unit of a video about this absolute unit of a tool. I hope you guys feel safer already. I know I do.
So go out there, play safe, keep your stick on the ice, and have an awesome day.